Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and we've got a special announcement to make today.
That's right. This is lesson number 200.
Woohoo!
So good job, English Pod. We have over 200 lessons already in our library, so that's like enough for like 6 months of continuous learning, I think.
But the lessons keep coming and they keep getting better, so of course you should continue to listen to us. We just thought we would mention that today is the special number 200.
Exactly. And because it's a special number, we're going to talk about a very laid-back topic, but very interesting nonetheless. We're talking about junk food.
You might argue that it's actually too laid back and is the cause of many problems in America and other places in the world. Junk food is unhealthy food. So let's take a listen to today's dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what's going on.
I'm hungry. Let's go grab a bite to eat.
Sure. How about we go home and prepare a couple of sandwiches?
Nah, let's get a burger and fries.
All you ever do is have unhealthy fast food. Pizza, fries, burgers, and hot dogs. You have to start eating better.
What are you talking about? I have salads sometimes.
Yeah, right. I'm serious. You should also cut down on your sugar intake as well. You drink carbonated drinks that are high in fructose syrup. It's really not healthy.
Fine, I'll start drinking water and having home-cooked meals that are low in fat. Are you happy now?
It's a start, but I'll be happy when I see you stick to your promise.
All right, we're back. So let's take a look at some of the great words and phrases all about junk food now in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
My favorite. The stuff makes me hungry. But it's not very good for you.
It's not. It's terrible. And especially his favorite food was burger and fries.
Oh, I had it for dinner last night.
Really? You had burger and fries?
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's not very healthy, and there's a great way to describe this. The word is unhealthy.
All right, so yes, as you say, it's very unhealthy. Well, yeah, because you get fat, they're very high in calories, so it's unhealthy, so that means it's not good for you.
That's right. So just a reminder, in English, when we hear the word unhealthy or unhappy, this means not healthy.
That's
not
right.
happy. Mm-hmm. Un is a prefix that means not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and talking about unhealthy food, in general, what are we talking about? We're talking about fast food.
Okay, so this might require a story. What is the meaning behind fast food as opposed to slow food? Because there is no slow food, right?
I think now they have it in like France or something like that. They talk about slow food. But anyways, fast food is food that is prepared very quickly. So you go, you order, in 2 or 3 minutes, you have your entire order ready to go.
Okay, so maybe this is the food that I could get at McDonald's or Burger King, where they make it very, very quickly, and I can go home or I can go to the office with my food ready.
Exactly. So fast food, very popular among countries, very popular nowadays among busy people who have no time to sit down at a restaurant or eat, or sit down and have a proper lunch.
Fast food. And one of the important drinks at a fast food restaurant is a carbonated drink. So this carbonated, what does this mean?
This is actually the fancy word for soda or for fizzy drink.
Fizzy, okay, so something that's carbonated has bubbles.
Yeah, it has bubbles.
For example, a lot of Europeans drink carbonated water. That means water with bubbles in it.
That's right. So actually the bubbles are caused because the drink has a high concentration of a certain gas, such as carbon. So that's why it has all these bubbles and it's fizzy, like Coca-Cola, for example.
Right, Coca-Cola or Sprite, these are carbonated drinks.
Very good.
So you have carbonated water and you have carbonated soda. What is the thing that makes soda different? What is it that makes soda taste so good?
It's sweet. And the ingredient that makes it sweet is called fructose syrup.
Fructose syrup is essentially sugar.
Yeah, and it comes from corn, I believe, right?
That's right. So you can also hear the name corn syrup. And this is a sweet syrup that comes from corn that makes drinks like Sprite and Coca-Cola taste so good. It's also very unhealthy for you.
Yes, because it has a lot of calories. So that is one of the main ingredients in soda. Now you know you have fructose syrup.
All right, so that's all we've got for Language Takeaway. Let's take another listen to today's dialogue. We'll be back in a second.
I'm hungry. Let's go grab a bite to eat.
Sure. How about we go home and prepare a couple of sandwiches?
Nah, let's get a burger and fries.
All you ever do is have unhealthy fast food. Pizza, fries, burgers, and hot dogs. You have to start eating better.
What are you talking about? I have salads sometimes.
Yeah, right. I'm serious. You should also cut down on your sugar intake as well. You drink carbonated drinks that are high in fructose syrup. It's really not healthy.
Fine, I'll start drinking water and having home-cooked meals that are low in fat. Are you happy now?
It's a start, but I'll be happy when I see you stick to your promise.
All right, we're back. So now we have a couple of great phrases that we heard along the dialogue. So let's take a look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so starting off, this is a very interesting phrase because we saw it in the first sentence and it says, let's go grab a bite to eat. Let's grab a bite to eat.
So to grab is to hold something with your hand, okay, to do it quickly. He grabbed my arm. So to grab a bite to eat, a bite is a small taste. We're going to have a quick meal. So after work, you want to go grab a bite to eat? That means let's go have something to eat quickly.
Yeah, I'll be there soon. Let me just grab a bite to eat.
So a bite is a little bit. It's a small amount of food.
Now for our next phrase, it's very important because I've noticed that a lot of our English learners make the mistake of using this phrase. It's how about.
How about? So in today's dialogue, the phrase is, how about we go home and prepare a couple of sandwiches?
So how about is used as a suggestion is, how do you feel or what do you think of going home and preparing a couple sandwiches?
So another way to say this is, why don't we go home and prepare some sandwiches?
Exactly. But commonly, English learners make the mistake of using how about as a way of saying, how was it or how is it? So for example, how about your weekend? Wrong, okay?
So how was your weekend?
Exactly.
So how about is usually used when we make a suggestion. How about we go see a movie on Saturday?
Or how about we go to my parents' house for Christmas this year?
Or finally, how about you get another job so that we can have more money to spend on going out to eat?
Very good.
So how about, these are all suggestions. Why don't you get another job? Why don't we go to your parents' house for Christmas? So you can't say, how about your weekend? You say, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
So there's a big difference there.
Very good. So make sure to stay away from that typical mistake using how about. Now, moving on, we were talking about fast food and how it's bad for you. And she said, you know what? You should also cut down on your sugar intake. So to cut down, that's a phrasal verb.
That's right. Cut down. So that means to decrease. I'm trying to cut down on the amount of soda that I drink.
Or I'm trying to cut down on how much I spend on the weekends.
Okay, so to cut down means to decrease or to lessen.
Very good. And for our last phrase, the whole thing that we're talking about in one of the favorite meals for everyone, burger and fries.
Okay, so this is one of many combinations for meals. You can have burger and fries, which is a hamburger and French fries. So oftentimes you'll say, hey, let's go grab a burger and fries.
Yeah.
Another combination, especially in England, is fish and chips.
Yeah, fish and chips.
Fish would be a fried fish sandwich, and chips would be French fries as well.
That's right. So, and actually in England, they call French fries, they call them chips.
So if you're confused by the word chips or potato chips and French fries, these are different things in different places. But if you're talking to an American, French fries is the way to go.
Or for a while, they were called freedom fries.
Well, we don't need to talk about that. We can talk about that in a later lesson. But for now, the phrase is burger and fries.
All right, so let's listen to our dialogue for the very last time.
Hello and welcome to the English Podcast Zone. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into a topic that touches almost everyone's life, junk food. Whether you love it, feel guilty about it, or try your best to avoid it, junk food is a big part of modern culture. But it's also full of useful language for everyday English conversations. So let's dig into it, not just the fries, but the vocabulary, expressions, and real-life situations connected to this topic. Let's start with the term junk food itself. What does it really mean? Simply put, junk food is food that is high in calories but low in nutrients. It often contains a lot of sugar, salt, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives. Some common examples include chips, candy, fast food meals like burgers and fries, and sugary drinks like soda. Now, you might be wondering, why do people eat junk food if they know it's unhealthy? Well, there are a few reasons. First, it's convenient. It's quick, cheap, and available everywhere. Second, it tastes really good, let's be honest. Our brains are wired to enjoy sweet, salty, and fatty flavors. And third, it can be comforting. After a long day, sometimes you just want to relax with a slice of pizza or a chocolate bar. There's actually a phrase for this: comfort food. Comfort food is the kind of food you eat not just to fill your stomach, but to make yourself feel better emotionally. Let's break down some useful expressions here. You might hear someone say, "I'm craving something sweet." The word craving means a strong desire, especially for food. Or, let's grab some fast food. Grab in this case means to get something quickly and casually. These expressions are super common and easy to use. Another phrase you'll hear a lot is cut back on. For example, I'm trying to cut back on sugar. That means you're reducing how much you eat. Notice how we don't say cut down sugar, we say cut back on sugar or cut down on sugar. That little word on is important. And what about the word unhealthy? That prefix un is very powerful in English. Just like healthy means good for your body, unhealthy means the opposite, not good. This prefix shows up in lots of words: unhappy, unfair, unkind. It changes the meaning completely. Now let's touch on some culture. In many Western countries, especially the US, junk food is everywhere, from vending machines at schools to drive-through windows on almost every corner. That makes it harder to avoid. There's even a whole fast food culture where meals are eaten in cars or while walking instead of sitting down at a table. Compare that with traditional meals in countries like Italy or Japan, where food is enjoyed slowly and with family. These differences can affect not just health, but also language and customs around eating. So here's a little practice challenge. Try using some of these expressions today. Maybe say, "I'm cutting back on soda," or "I grabbed a bite to eat before class." The more you use real English in your real life, the faster you'll learn. Alright, that's a solid start. Let's keep going deeper into this delicious and sometimes dangerous world of food. When we talk about junk food, we can't ignore one of its biggest selling points: convenience. Convenience means something is easy and quick to use or get. Fast food restaurants are designed around this idea. You can walk in, place your order, and within minutes you're eating. Some places even offer drive-through service, where you don't even have to get out of your car. This is a huge time saver, especially for people with busy lives. But there's a trade-off. What you gain in time, you often lose in nutritional value. Let's look at some everyday phrases related to convenience and eating habits. One useful expression is on the go. For example, I usually eat breakfast on the go. That means you eat while moving, maybe during your commute or in between meetings. Another common phrase is grab-and-go meals. These are foods that are pre-packaged and ready to eat, like a sandwich or a granola bar you buy at a convenience store. Now let's talk about another phrase, to skip a meal. A lot of people skip breakfast because they're in a rush. But skipping meals can lead to unhealthy choices later in the day. For example, when you skip lunch, you might end up overeating at dinner or snacking on junk food all afternoon. A good expression to describe this is binge eating. Binge eating means eating a large amount of food in a short period, usually because you're very hungry or stressed. Here's something interesting for English learners. In English, we often personify our cravings. People say things like, "That pizza is calling my name," or "I'm dying for some ice cream." These are playful and expressive ways to say you really want something. They make your speech sound more natural and lively. Another helpful word to know is processed. Processed food is any food that's been changed from its natural state, frozen, canned, cooked, or packaged with additives. Most junk food is highly processed, which means it usually contains preservatives, artificial colors, and flavor enhancers. These things help the food last longer and taste stronger, but they don't offer much nutrition. Speaking of nutrition, here's a useful phrase, empty calories. This refers to food or drinks that provide energy but very few vitamins or minerals. Soda, for example, is full of empty calories. It gives you a sugar rush but no real nutritional benefit. And of course, you've probably heard the term sugar rush. That's a short burst of energy after eating a lot of sugar. Kids often get hyper after eating candy, and we say they're having a sugar rush. But the crash afterward? Not so fun. When talking about trying to be healthier, you might hear people say things like, "I'm watching what I eat," or "I'm trying to make better food choices." These are polite, casual ways to say they're avoiding junk food or eating more responsibly. As an English learner, try using these phrases in your own conversations. For example, "I skipped breakfast today, so I'm starving," or "I'm trying to cut down on processed foods." These sentences are useful, practical, and common in daily life. Now, while junk food may be tempting, understanding the language around it helps you talk about your habits, your goals, and even your health. And that's something truly valuable, not just in English, but in life. Let's take a closer look at one of the most powerful forces behind the popularity of junk food, advertising. Everywhere you look, TV, social media, billboards, you see ads promoting fast food, candy, soft drinks, and snacks. These ads are designed to be irresistible. They use bright colors, catchy slogans, and mouth-watering images to make you crave something you weren't even thinking about a minute ago. That's the magic and the danger of marketing. In English, there's a useful term for this kind of influence: temptation. When something tempts you, it tries to pull you in, even if you know it's not the best choice. For example, you might say, "I was tempted to get fries, but I ordered a salad instead." This word is especially useful when talking about food, spending money, or making decisions. Another phrase you'll often hear is "given to temptation." That means you stop resisting and do the thing you were trying to avoid. Like, "I gave in to temptation and ate a whole bag of chips." We all do it from time to time, and using these phrases helps you describe those moments in a natural way. Now, let's talk about how companies make junk food sound better than it is. They use phrases like "made with real cheese," "no artificial colors," or "low fat." While these sound healthy, they can be misleading. For instance, something labeled low fat might still be high in sugar. That's why people often say, "always read the label." This is an important expression in English. It means don't trust appearances and take time to understand what's really inside. Speaking of labels, you'll often see words like calories, sodium, sugar, carbs, and trans fats on food packaging. These are key nutritional terms. Calories measure the energy a food gives you. Sodium is another word for salt. Carbs is short for carbohydrates, which give you energy but can be bad in excess. Trans fats are a type of unhealthy fat that many experts recommend avoiding. Another phrase that's useful here is "watch your intake." Intake means how much of something you consume. You might hear someone say, "I'm trying to watch my sodium intake," or "you should reduce your sugar intake." This phrase helps you talk about eating and drinking in a more specific, thoughtful way. Now let's move into another common area of conversation: guilt. Many people feel guilty after eating junk food, especially if they're trying to be healthy. You'll hear people say things like, "I cheated on my diet," or "it was my cheat day." These phrases are part of everyday English, especially among people who are dieting or watching their weight. But here's something important to remember: learning English is about communication, not perfection. The same idea applies to healthy eating. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be aware and keep improving. And that's true whether you're working on your health or your English. To wrap up this section, try practicing some of these expressions in real sentences. Say something like, "The commercial really tempted me," or "I'm cutting back on snacks because I want to eat better." These are powerful ways to express real-life experiences, and they'll make your English sound more authentic and confident. Advertising may try to influence your choices, but with the right words, you can take back control, not only of your eating habits, but of your ability to speak clearly and effectively in English. Let's shift our focus now to eating habits and how they're formed. The truth is, many of our food choices are shaped by our routines, our culture, and even the people around us. Understanding how habits work can help you change them. And as an English learner, you'll also pick up natural ways to talk about your daily routines and behaviors. First, let's explore the phrase "creature of habit." This is a common way to describe someone who likes to do the same things every day. For example, "I always eat cereal for breakfast." "I'm a creature of habit." This is a great phrase to describe how many people approach food, repeating the same meals again and again, often without thinking. Another expression that's useful here is "get into the habit of." You might say, "I've gotten into the habit of drinking soda every afternoon," or "I'm trying to get into the habit of packing my lunch instead of eating out." These phrases are excellent for describing patterns in your daily life, and they help you communicate goals and routines clearly. Now let's talk about the word snacking. Snacking is when you eat small amounts of food between meals. It's not always bad, but it depends on what you're eating. The phrase mindless snacking means eating without thinking, like grabbing chips while watching TV or finishing a bag of cookies while scrolling on your phone. You don't even realize how much you've eaten until it's gone. To describe this kind of behavior, you might use phrases like, "I snack out of boredom," or "I eat when I'm stressed." These are incredibly useful expressions because they combine emotion with action. Learning to talk about emotions and habits together will make your English much more powerful and relatable. And that brings us to emotional eating. This is when you eat not because you're hungry, but because you're feeling something: stress, sadness, boredom, or even happiness. It's a very human experience, and there's no shame in it, but being able to recognize it and talk about it is valuable. Try saying things like, I'm an emotional eater, or I reach for sweets when I'm feeling down. These are real, natural expressions used in everyday conversations. Let's also look at a useful question you can ask yourself or others. Do you eat to live or live to eat? This is a popular saying in English that invites people to think about their relationship with food. Are you eating just to survive, or is food one of your greatest pleasures? People often laugh or debate over this question. It's a fun way to start a conversation, especially if you're learning about other cultures. Speaking of culture, in some countries meals are relaxed, social events where people spend hours at the table. In others, meals are rushed, eaten alone, or even skipped. These habits influence not just health, but how people speak about food. That's why English has so many idioms related to eating quickly, like wolf down your food, which means to eat very fast, almost like an animal. He wolfed down his lunch in 2 minutes. Is something you might hear in a casual conversation. One final phrase for today, watch your portions. Portions means the amount of food you serve or eat at one time. In many places, especially in the US, portion sizes are large. Learning to say, I try to control my portions is another way of expressing healthy choices in English. So think about your own habits and try using some of these phrases to describe them. Say things like, I'm trying to get into the habit of eating more vegetables, or I snack a lot when I'm tired. You'll be building your English fluency while becoming more aware of your daily patterns. That's how real learning happens, one habit, one phrase at a time. Now let's explore one of the most interesting and useful aspects of this topic, how food connects to lifestyle. What you eat doesn't just affect your health, it also reflects your schedule, your values, and even your social life. As you improve your English, you'll find that food is one of the easiest ways to start meaningful conversations with others, especially when talking about daily routines or personal goals. Let's begin with the phrase on a diet. This is something you'll hear all the time. It means someone is trying to eat in a controlled or limited way, usually to lose weight or become healthier. You might hear someone say, I'm on a diet, or I can't eat that, I'm trying to stick to my diet. Notice the phrasal verb stick to, it means to continue doing something without giving up. For example, it's hard to stick to a healthy eating plan when you're busy. Then there's another popular phrase, eating clean. It means avoiding processed foods, added sugars, and artificial ingredients. Someone might say, I've started eating clean, lots of vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. It's a trendy expression, especially in health-conscious communities. If you hear someone say, I meal prep every Sunday, they're talking about meal prepping, which is short for meal preparation. It means preparing your meals in advance, often for the entire week. This is a great way to avoid last-minute junk food decisions. You could say, I prep my lunches ahead of time so I'm not tempted to order fast food. Now let's talk about social situations. In many places, food is at the center of social life. Whether it's a party, a meeting, or a casual get-together, there's usually something to eat. That's why it's helpful to learn expressions like, I'm trying to eat lighter, or I'm avoiding sweets right now. These allow you to politely decline food without making things awkward. You can also say, I'll just have a small portion, or I'm full, thank you. Another great phrase for social settings is everything in moderation. This means it's okay to eat unhealthy things once in a while, as long as you don't go overboard. For example, I had cake at the party, but I believe in everything in moderation. This expression is all about balance, which is something most people can relate to. When you're talking about food choices in English, tone matters. Phrases like, I'm trying to make healthier choices, or I'm cutting back on fried foods sound thoughtful and respectful. They don't judge others, they just describe your own goals. That's an important skill in both language and life, expressing yourself clearly without sounding critical. One more useful term is guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure is something you enjoy but feel a little guilty about, like eating ice cream late at night or watching cheesy TV shows. People often say, chocolate is my guilty pleasure, or I know it's not healthy, but pizza is my guilty pleasure. This phrase makes your English sound fun and relatable. So here's a tip. Try talking about your lifestyle and food habits using the expressions we've covered. Say something like, I try to eat clean during the week, but I enjoy a guilty pleasure on the weekend, or I'm learning to watch my portions and stick to my plan. These kinds of statements show confidence and give you real-world language for real-life situations. Food is deeply connected to how we live, and when you can talk about it fluently, you gain the ability to connect with others, share your experiences, and learn from theirs. Keep using your English in this practical, everyday way. It's one of the most powerful paths to fluency. One of the most fascinating parts of talking about food is how much it reveals about culture. Food is more than just fuel, it's tradition, identity, and history. And when you're learning English, understanding food culture can help you not only improve your vocabulary, but also connect more deeply with people from different backgrounds. Let's start with the idea of comfort food. This phrase is widely used in English to describe meals that bring emotional comfort, often because they remind you of home or childhood. For example, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, or chicken soup are classic comfort foods in American culture. You might hear someone say, after a long day, I just want some comfort food, or this reminds me of my mom's cooking, it's real comfort food. It's an emotional expression, and using it can make your English feel more personal and warm. Another important concept is homemade versus store-bought. Homemade means something made at home from scratch. Store-bought means it was purchased ready-made. In many English-speaking countries, people take pride in homemade meals. You'll often hear people say, nothing beats homemade, or I prefer homemade cookies to store-bought ones. These are simple but powerful phrases that show your preferences in a polite, natural way. Let's also explore the phrase home-cooked meals. This is very close in meaning to homemade, but it focuses more on the idea of a complete, balanced meal prepared at home. A common sentence might be, I've been trying to eat more home-cooked meals instead of fast food. Notice how these phrases help you talk about your food habits in a realistic and meaningful way. Now let's look at some cultural food expressions. In English, especially in the US and UK, people love to use food idioms. For example, that's the icing on the cake means something extra that makes a good situation even better. Or piece of cake, which means something is very easy. That test was a piece of cake. These idioms don't actually have anything to do with food, but they make your language more expressive and colorful. Let's not forget the phrase bring something to the table. It can mean literal food, but more often it means contributing something useful in a situation. For example, she brings a lot of experience to the table. This is often used in business or teamwork contexts, but it's rooted in the idea of everyone bringing a dish to a shared meal, like in a potluck. Speaking of potlucks, that's another culturally significant term. A potluck is a gathering where everyone brings a dish to share. These are common in North America and are often held at schools, offices, or among friends. You might say, we're having a potluck dinner on Friday, bring something sweet. Knowing terms like this helps you participate in conversations about social events and food traditions. Also, in many cultures, offering food is a way of showing care or hospitality. So, in English, you'll often hear someone say, would you like something to eat? Or, can I offer you a snack? These polite, welcoming phrases are key to everyday interactions. Being able to respond naturally with, thanks, I just ate, or, sure, I'd love a bite, helps you sound fluent and friendly. And if you want to decline politely, you can say things like, no thanks, I'm full, or I'm good, but thank you. These small expressions are essential for smooth, respectful communication. So take a moment to think about your own food culture. What comfort food do you love? Do you prefer home-cooked meals or restaurant food? Try expressing your thoughts in English using some of the phrases we've covered. Say something like, I grew up with homemade soup, it's my comfort food, or I've started cooking more instead of ordering takeout. Understanding food culture in English isn't just about what's on the plate, it's about the stories, values, and connections behind it. And the more you learn to talk about those, the more naturally and confidently you'll speak. Let's talk about one of the most common struggles people face when it comes to junk food, self-control. Staying away from unhealthy snacks and fast food takes discipline, and many people find it difficult to resist temptation, especially when they're tired, stressed, or in a hurry. As an English learner, understanding how to express these feelings and choices clearly can help you in daily life and in building real conversations with others. A great phrase to begin with is I'm trying to resist. You can say, I'm trying to resist eating cookies at night, or it's hard to resist temptation when the office is full of snacks. These are common ways native speakers express the struggle of making better choices. Another expression is fall off the wagon. Originally used to describe people who stopped drinking alcohol and then started again, it's now used more casually to talk about breaking any kind of healthy habit. For example, I was doing well with my diet, but I fell off the wagon last weekend. It's a friendly, honest way to talk about setbacks without sounding too negative. Then there's the phrase get back on track. This means to return to good habits after a mistake or break. You might say, I ate a lot of junk food on vacation, but I'm getting back on track this week. This phrase is especially helpful in conversations about goals, progress, or health routines. Let's also look at willpower. Willpower is the ability to control yourself, especially when you want to do something unhealthy or unwise. A typical sentence might be, it takes a lot of willpower to avoid fast food, or I don't have the willpower to walk past a bakery without buying something. This word is often used when talking about dieting, exercising, or saving money. Now, how do people deal with cravings in English? One useful strategy is called healthy swaps. That means replacing something unhealthy with a better option. For example, I swapped soda for sparkling water, or I'm trying to swap chips for almonds. The word swap is simple but powerful, and it's used in many everyday situations. You can also say, I'm making small changes, or I'm taking baby steps. These phrases show that you're moving in the right direction without being too hard on yourself. For many learners, these expressions are also useful when talking about language learning. For example, I'm taking baby steps with English idioms. And then there's treat yourself. This phrase is used when you choose to enjoy something special, even if it's not the healthiest option. It's often said with a smile like, I've been eating clean all week, so I'm treating myself to a slice of cake. The key idea here is balance, not cutting out all pleasures, but enjoying them mindfully. Another fun expression is everything adds up. This means small actions over time can make a big difference. Drinking one soda might not seem like much, but over time it adds up. You can also use this expression for language learning. 10 minutes of English practice a day really adds up. These kinds of phrases make your English more expressive and relatable. They help you talk about your choices honestly, and they open the door to conversations about goals, habits, and progress, topics that come up all the time in real life. So take a few moments today and try making sentences using these phrases. You could say, I swapped cookies for fruit, or I fell off the wagon, but I'm back on track now. Not only will you improve your English, but you'll also gain a deeper understanding of how to express personal change and motivation in a natural way. One thing that's often overlooked in discussions about junk food is the role of stress. When people feel overwhelmed, anxious, or even just bored, they often turn to food for comfort. And usually, it's not vegetables they reach for, it's salty snacks, sugary treats, or greasy fast food. Learning how to talk about this connection between stress and eating is useful not only for your English, but also for understanding yourself better. A very common expression in English is stress eating. This refers to eating because you're stressed, not because you're actually hungry. You might say, I tend to stress eat when I have deadlines, or lately I've been stress eating junk food, and I need to get it under control. It's a phrase that's easy to use and highly relatable. Closely related is the phrase eat your feelings. It's a humorous but honest way to say you're using food to deal with emotions. After the breakup, I spent the weekend eating my feelings, ice cream, chips, everything. While it might make people laugh, it's also a meaningful way to talk about emotional habits. When people are under pressure, they often look for quick fixes. A quick fix is something that solves a problem immediately, but not in a healthy or lasting way. Junk food is a classic example. It gives you an energy boost or mood lift, but it doesn't solve the root problem. You can use this phrase in other contexts too, like using translation apps is a quick fix, but it won't help you truly learn the language. Now let's talk about how people try to manage these situations. One helpful expression is find healthier ways to cope. Cope means to deal with something difficult. So you might hear, I've been trying to find healthier ways to cope with stress, like going for a walk instead of eating chips. This phrase helps you express emotional maturity and positive change. Another useful term is self-care. Self-care includes anything you do to take care of your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Eating a nutritious meal, getting enough sleep, or even saying no to junk food can all be acts of self-care. You might hear someone say, I'm skipping the party tonight, just staying in and focusing on self-care. And when people talk about change, they often say things like, I'm trying to build better habits, or I'm breaking the cycle. The word cycle here refers to a repeated pattern, like stress leading to junk food, then guilt, then more stress. To break the cycle means to stop that pattern and create a new one. Let's also explore the idea of trigger foods. A trigger food is something that causes you to overeat or feel out of control. People often say, chips are my trigger food, or once I start eating cookies, I can't stop. This kind of vocabulary helps you describe your behavior with clarity and honesty. Now here's a really natural way to talk about progress. I'm not perfect, but I'm making progress. This phrase is great because it shows effort without pressure. You can apply it to food, fitness, language learning, anything that takes time and consistency. Another phrase people use to describe change over time is baby steps. I'm taking baby steps toward eating healthier. It means small, manageable actions that lead to bigger results. Baby steps might include bringing lunch from home once a week or drinking water instead of soda with dinner. So today, think about how stress affects your choices and how you can describe that in English. Try using phrases like, I've been stress eating lately, or I'm finding healthier ways to cope with tough days. These are real emotional statements that go beyond textbook English. They help you express your experience, connect with others, and become more fluent, not just in words, but in life. Let's talk about one of the most practical ways to move away from junk food and toward healthier living: planning. It might not sound exciting, but planning your meals and snacks can make a huge difference, and it gives you a great opportunity to practice English vocabulary related to time, goals, and daily habits. A helpful phrase to begin with is plan ahead. You'll hear this often in English conversations, and it simply means to prepare for something in advance. For example, I try to plan ahead so I'm not stuck buying fast food at work. Or if you plan ahead, it's easier to avoid unhealthy choices. It's a great habit and a powerful way to talk about responsibility. Another related phrase is set yourself up for success. This means creating the right conditions to help you succeed. You might say, I set myself up for success by prepping meals on Sunday, or if I don't buy junk food, I won't eat it. I'm setting myself up for success. It's an encouraging and positive expression. Let's also look at stock up on. This means to buy a lot of something so you don't run out. For example, I stock up on healthy snacks so I always have good options at home. You can also use it for other areas of life, like I stocked up on school supplies, or we need to stock up on water before the storm. Now, when people try to eat better, they often talk about meal planning. This simply means deciding in advance what you're going to eat. It's not complicated, and you can hear someone say, meal planning helps me stay on track, or I plan my meals for the week every Sunday night. The phrase stay on track is also useful. It means to keep going in the right direction. I've been staying on track with my food choices lately. Another common tool is the grocery list. This is the list of items you plan to buy when shopping. To use it in conversation, you might say, I always bring a grocery list so I don't get distracted, or without a list, I end up buying junk I don't need. It's a small thing that makes a big impact. Let's also explore the term prep in advance. You can say, I like to prep in advance so I don't have to cook every night. Prep is short for prepare, and this phrase makes your English sound modern and fluent. You can even say, I prep some meals for the week, or I did some meal prep yesterday. Now, what happens when things don't go according to plan? Life gets busy, you run out of time, or your schedule changes. A very natural expression in English is life gets in the way. For example, I planned to cook dinner, but life got in the way and I grabbed fast food instead. It's a gentle way to explain why something didn't work out. To respond to situations like that, people often say, don't beat yourself up. That means don't be too hard on yourself. You ate pizza last night? Don't beat yourself up. Just get back on track tomorrow. These phrases are kind, supportive, and very common in casual conversation. One more useful term is default choice. A default choice is what you do automatically when you don't have a plan. If your default choice is junk food, it helps to change your environment, keep fruit on the counter, or pack a healthy snack in your bag. You might say, I'm working on changing my default choices. So as you think about your food habits or any habits, consider how planning can help you. Try saying things like, I plan my meals to stay on track, or I stocked up on healthy foods this weekend. These phrases don't just improve your English, they help you build a mindset of intention and progress. Small words, when used wisely, can support big changes. As we wrap up this journey into the world of junk food and healthier choices, let's focus on something essential: balance. The idea of balance is powerful, not just in what we eat, but in how we live, learn, and grow. And in English, there are many useful ways to express this idea in everyday conversations. One of the most helpful phrases is treat in moderation. This means enjoying something occasionally and in small amounts, without overdoing it. You might say, I still eat chocolate, but I treat it in moderation, or fast food isn't off limits, but I try to enjoy it in moderation. This kind of language helps you talk about personal choices in a realistic and responsible way. Another common expression is listen to your body. It means paying attention to how food makes you feel. Are you actually hungry or just bored or stressed? You'll often hear people say, "I'm learning to listen to my body," or "After eating junk food, my body doesn't feel good." This phrase encourages mindfulness and helps describe a deeper connection between eating and well-being. Let's also talk about developing a healthy relationship with food. This is a phrase often used by nutritionists and health coaches. It means not labeling food as bad or forbidden, but understanding what works for your body and lifestyle. Someone might say, "I'm working on building a healthy relationship with food so I don't feel guilty after eating something sweet." Guilt is a big word in this conversation. Many people feel guilty after eating junk food, but a more helpful approach is self-compassion, being kind to yourself and moving forward. In English, people often say things like, "I had a rough day, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it," or "I'll make a better choice next time." These kinds of phrases make your English sound mature, thoughtful, and emotionally intelligent. Now let's explore one final useful term, mindful eating. This means being fully present while eating, paying attention to flavors, textures, and how your body feels. It's the opposite of eating while distracted, like in front of a TV or computer. You could say, "I'm trying to practice mindful eating instead of just snacking all day," or "Mindful eating helps me know when I'm full." And don't forget one of the most encouraging phrases you can use, progress, not perfection. This is a great reminder for both health and language learning. You can say, "I'm not perfect with my food choices, but I'm making progress," or "I'm learning English little by little, progress, not perfection." It's all about staying motivated and being proud of small wins. So here's something you can do today. Try putting these expressions into practice. Say something like, "I still enjoy fast food, but I try to eat it in moderation," or "I'm developing a better relationship with food." These sentences are useful, true to life, and full of natural English. And remember, your journey to speak English fluently is a lot like your journey toward healthier living. It takes time, consistency, and self-awareness. But every time you learn a new phrase or make a better choice, you're moving in the right direction. Thank you for being a part of the English Podcast Zone.
I'm hungry. Let's go grab a bite to eat.
Sure, how about we go home and prepare a couple of sandwiches?
Nah, let's get a burger and fries.
All you ever do is have unhealthy fast food. Pizza, fries, burgers, and hot dogs. You have to start eating better.
What are you talking about? I have salads sometimes.
Yeah, right. I'm serious. You should also cut down on your sugar intake as well. You drink carbonated drinks that are high in fructose syrup. It's really not healthy.
Fine, I'll start drinking water and having home-cooked meals that are low in fat. Are you happy now?
It's a start, but I'll be happy when I see you stick to your promise.
We're back, Marco. You're laughing. I know you like junk food. What's your favorite junk food of all time?
Actually, I am a big fan of fried chicken. I love fried chicken.
Yummy.
I don't know, I think it's really greasy and oily and it's very bad, but I can't help it. It's very good.
You can buy bags of it in America.
I
Get
know.
like a pound bag.
You buy
of fried
it by the
chicken.
pound in America, right?
Yep, you pay for how much it weighs.
Wow, that's amazing. I actually really enjoy it, but places like Kentucky Fried Chicken, they're too expensive for fried chicken.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to go there. There's other places that are a lot more maybe traditional that are pretty good.
How about you? What is your favorite junk food?
Chicago style hot dog and French fries.
yeah.
Like when you go to see a baseball game, you get a hot dog. But Chicago style is good. It's not too much stuff on it. You have a poppy seed bun. So it's a bun, a piece of bread with some seeds on it and a lot of
Ketchup,
mustard and ketchup and onions.
I really enjoy hot dogs, but the one thing that I cannot have on a hot dog is mustard or relish.
Oh my gosh, those are the two best things. Okay, I can't talk to you anymore. Well, tell us what your favorite junk food is and tell Marco that he's crazy if he doesn't like mustard. Our website is englishpod.com. Ask us questions as well. We're happy to answer them. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Get food that can be eaten quickly. Grab a bite. Something frequently done. All you ever do. Reduce the amount taken or used. Cut down. What do you think? How about? Continue doing something. Stick to.
Let's try that faster.
Reduce the amount taken or used. Cut down. Get food that can be eaten quickly. Grab a bite. What do you think? How about? Something frequently done. All you ever do. Continue doing something. Stick to.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Grab a bite. Do you want to go grab a bite after work? Grab a bite. Let's grab a bite before we go to school. Grab a bite. Derek and I are going to grab a bite with Catherine. How about? How about we go to the movies tonight? How about? How about you pick me up at 3? How about? How about we go to my parents' house for Christmas this year? All you ever do. All you ever do is complain. All you ever do. All you ever do is play computer games. All you ever do. All my parents ever do is yell at me. Cut down. We need to cut down on unnecessary expenses. Cut down. The doctor said I should cut down on my sugar intake. Cut down. Our company had to cut down operational costs. Stick to. It's hard for me to stick to this diet. Stick to. You have to stick to your promise. Stick to. I will stick to my New Year's resolution this year.